Hey, Beastista here, and welcome to another Little Cup draft battle. So this is our third of our four regular season matches, and so far I'm 2-0. This match is against the Welsh Whelmers, and we can see their team is here. So on the left is my team. It's the same exact team as previous videos, and on the right is my opponent's team. So looking at my opponent's team, some of the things that I think are immediately come off to me is that they have a Elekid and they have Ponyta. And both of these are in the very high speed tier in Little Cup, and they outspeed everything on my team except for my own Ponyta. And so they are likely going to have speed advantage unless I'm able to get something up like Tailwind with my Swablu. And that could be very concerning because they both also have pretty good offensive categories. Other than that, Stuffle can be very bulky because if I don't bring a Pokemon with fire damage, because it can have the ability Fluffy. Other than that, it also does really good damage into my Porygon, which I think is going to be a good Pokemon this week. Other than that, so also we see Volby on the top left of their Pokemon. We see that that Pokemon is incredibly bulky, and it gets a couple of relevant moves, but its big thing is it doesn't get the move Tailwind, which is a really important because if it got Tailwind, I feel like it would be very scary for my team to deal with, but without it, I feel like I'm okay shape. Other than that, Krabby on the top right does a huge amount of damage into any of my Pokemon, and in addition, and especially does a lot of damage into my fire Pokemon. And so my fire Pokemon are a little bit concerning. Other than that, they have a Sun package with Vulpix and Bulbasaur. So Vulpix can set up the Sun, and Bulbasaur gets double speed in the Sun. However, if you look at my team, I have 0 Pokemon that have Grass weakness, 0 Pokemon that have Poison weakness, 0 Pokemon that have Fire weakness, and Bulbasaur does not learn Sleep Powder in the Little Cup because it doesn't learn Sleep Powder until I think level 10 or 12, somewhere around there. And so I 100% do not expect to see Bulbasaur or Vulpix, and everything else I would expect to see. And other than that, looking at my side, I think the big Pokemon that I want is Porygon. So Porygon can outspeed my opponent's entire team if I can get it in Tailwind. In addition, everything on my opponent's team takes neutral damage to normal except for their ice Pokemon, their ice rock Pokemon. And I can give Porygon something like a Iron Tail in order to kill it pretty effectively. Other than that, I think that Tailwind is going to be really important this week because my opponent's team is so fast. And then I also think that Purloin, as usual, is going to be very useful at lowering my opponent's attack because they have a lot of physical Pokemon. And I can also give it Fake Tears to make Porygon almost guarantee one-shot anything. So that's kind of the quick look at my opponent's team and my team. So let's get into the specific team I brought. So this is the team I brought. So the first thing that you can see is I brought a Choice Scarf Swablu. And the idea with this is I gave it enough speed, I give it max speed and Choice Scarf in order to get up Tailwind. So this is very different than the Swablu I brought in the previous 2 matches, which is very bulky and designed to survive long times. This one comes in, sets up Tailwind, hopefully dies. If not, I'll switch it out. The idea is to pair it with the Pokemon below it, which is Porygon, and I gave Porygon the Eviolite this week in order to make it incredibly bulky when it's Dynamaxed. And so Swablu, switched up to Tailwind, and then after that, we with Porygon, we gave it max special attack, Hyper Beam, and Tri Attack. So Hyper Beam to make it do better max strikes, Tri Attack when it's not Dynamaxed, Thunderbolt, so some coverage to kill Volby, which is one of the hard Pokemon because it's really bulky if it's an Eviolite. And I gave Iron Tail as a third move, which kind of does 2 things. One, it can give me an alternative attack if for some reason they lower my special attack, but also it it also can be very useful if my download boost is for physical attack rather than special attack. So that's the idea with that. So continue on, we go to Purloin. I was debating between a couple of items. None of the items look super exciting to me, so I just decided to give it Berry Juice and give it Max Bulk. I learned Fake Out, Charm, Fake Tears, and Snarl. I decided to give it Snarl this week because they have some special attackers, and also last battle, I also felt like I got punished a lot for not having a damaging move, so I wanted to make sure that Purloin had a damaging move. So below that, we see I have Inkay, which is contrary, choice band, so very similar. I have max HP, max attack, and a little bit of defense. And so hopefully in Tailwind, it can get a KO with one of its attacks, and maybe Snowball if that KO is with superpower. So below that is Rufflet. Rufflet is not actually very offensive this week. I gave it a lot of speed, and I gave it a lot of defense, some special defense, and some HP, and a Wakan Berry. So the Wakan Berry is designed for it to be. So when I'm not Dynamaxed, I'm guaranteed to survive a Thunder from a Elekid or a Thunder Punch from a Elekid. And also, I should be able to survive a Dynamax attack from Elekid if I'm also Dynamaxed. And so I give it the Wakan Berry threat. I get Steel Wing, Brave Bird, and Facade. Facade is mainly there to hit Elekid. Steel Wing is mainly there to hit their rock Pokemon. And then Brave Birds for the rest. And then finally, we gave Machop with max special defense, max HP, and then Flame Warp Guts with Bullet Punch, Close Combat, and Fire Punch. Mainly, it's going to go there, protect, hopefully take a hit, and then Bullet Punch and kill something, and then and maybe take a couple of hits. I don't know if it's super exciting, but that's kind of the thing. So, like I said, so the big thing is I expect that my game 1 lead is gonna likely be Swablu and Porygon. I don't expect them to predict that I'm going to lead with Choice Scarf Swablu in order to set up Tailwind. And then game 2, I'm likely going to do something with Purloin, maybe with Porygon, or maybe with Rufflet. We'll see. So anyways, let's get into the matches. So here we are for match 1. So looking at my opponent's team, they brought exactly what I expected. I expected them to bring these 6 Pokemon and not bring Vulpix or Bulbasaur. So with that, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to do with my game 1 lead, which is Swablu and Porygon. And then in the back, I'm debating between a couple, but I said Inkay and Machop seem the best. Rufflet's a little bit questionable because it doesn't have super accurate moves, and Purloin can be very good, but is not very good as an offensive threat. So I decided to just go with Machop, and that is my lead. So my opponent leads Volpe and Elekid, which with my Swablu Porygon lead, I feel pretty good about this because I should be able to get Tailwind up, and my Porygon should be able to kill Elekid before. We see I got the special attack download boost, which is really good, which means my Porygon's going to do a whole lot of damage. So this is a pretty easy Tailwind and Max Strike into the Elekid spot because Volpe, like I said, it doesn't get Tailwind, so it's not really relevant. It doesn't get any super exciting moves, so I think best case scenario, it maybe taunts into one of my Pokemon. It maybe, it maybe does something like Toxic. It does not have a huge amount of relevant moves, and it's not super offensive. So we Dynamax Porygon. And we could do Yatel one up, which means they don't have any Pokemon with a Choice Scarf. And that means that Porygon should get a clean kill on an Elekid. So we Max Strike to the Elekid spot, and Elekid dies. And so that went very well for me. And this also gets the speed drop on Volpe, which doesn't really do anything, but it could be useful. We see that their Volpe is White, which is relevant, and they knock off into my Porygon, which makes me lose the Eevee Light. It's not that big of a deal. It's a little bit annoying. I didn't even know that Volpe had knockoff, but Porygon, I'd say it's a pretty good turn. So they bring out Ponyta. So I'm decided that I should switch out. I'm unsure what I should switch out. I decided to switch out Inkay in case they're greedy and do like a Max Psychic into that spot. And here I'm debating between whether I should Max Strike or Max Lightning into the Volpe spot. I decide to go with the Max Strike to lower the speed of Ponyta's for the late game. So Inkay comes in. And we see a Dynamax. So we see the Dynamax Ponyta. So I get my Mech Strike, and I'm able to kill the Volibee here. And so we got a nice 2 Pokemon lead right now. And so they Max Quake into my Porygon. My Porygon takes this very well, and I think the Max Quake is a smart move. It gives their Ponyta a special defense boost, which makes my Porygon do significantly less damage to it in the late game. And so here, they bring in their last Pokemon, and I decide to just do Max Steel Spike into it and a Dark move into Ponyta. Max Steel Spike is going to help me get a defense boost, which makes me do better into Ponyta as the game progresses, and also should easily kill their non-Dynamax threat. And so the Night Slash does almost 50%, and then this is an easy kill, but we see that they end up having the Focus Sash. Oh, and because my Inkay is contrary, it actually lowers the Inkay's defense. It doesn't really matter because Hyper Beam kills it right here. And I think Hyper Beam was killing no matter what. But this also means that that actually cannot attack next turn, which is a big deal. So the Max Quake again into Porygon. Porygon takes it again pretty well. And now they have 1 HP with their one Pokemon and then just one Pokemon, and it's a nice 3v2. Debating between bringing in Swablu and Machop. I decide Machop because Machop has Protect, and it's likely going to be the thing that's targeted. So I was just checking to make sure I have one more turn of Tailwind, and so this is just an easy Protect, and I'm planning on doing a Tri-Attack into the Ponyta spot. I was debating between a Hyper Beam, but I don't think it did enough damage because it looks like Ponyta is an EV Light. So they do a Max Air Shrimp, which would have probably killed Machop if I didn't Protect, but also is pretty relevant because now their Ponyta no longer is at -1 speed. So Machop burns itself with my Flame Orb, so now it has its Guts boost. And so here is a pretty easy. I'm just gonna Bullet Punch into Pluto to kill it, and then here I'm just debating whether or not I should Hyper Beam into the Ponyta, or if I should just Tri-Attack. Confirming that it has 2 special defense boosts, so I'm like, okay, it's too risky to do a Tri-Attack, so I'm just gonna Bullet Punch into this spot and Tri-Attack instead of Hyper Beam. So Bullet Punch gets the kill. And then the Play Rough kills Machop. And here I feel like I'm in very good shape because now I have the 2 Pokemon advantage and my Swablu is faster. And so that almost gets the kill itself, but yeah, we ring Swablu. And so there's a good chance that Hyper Beam would have killed, but I definitely think that going with 100% accurate move seems like a good idea. And so here we just Hyper Voice and go for the Tri-Attack again, and either of these hitting should kill. And there we go, we get the kill. And so we get the first game of the match, and let's get to game 2. So here we are for game 2. So that game 1 went really well with the Swablu Porygon lead, and so I'm just debating what I want to do as my second lead. I decide Rufflet seems like a pretty interesting one with Purloin. Maybe I'll catch them off guard, and I decided to put Porygon in the back because Porygon, even as a non-Dynamax threat, seems very good. And then I was debating between a couple of the other ones, but I think Inkay seems like the most reliable choice in the back. So they lead Stuffle and Aurora, and I lead Rough Lid Purloin. This is actually not a great lead for me. So I would like to kill the Stuffle, which I think I could probably kill it if I, um, with a hit. But I decide that Hyper Beam from the Aurora probably kills me, and so I'm just debating on maybe I should protect, maybe I should charm, maybe I should just fake out. Snarl to break a focus sash and protect. And so I decide that I'm just going to go for the max knuckle into the Aurora spot and fake it out so that it can't hit me, and I get the guarantee kill through fake out. So we see that they Dynamax their Stuffle, and it Dynamax before me, which means that it's either Choice Scarf or that we Speed Tied, which our Pokemon have the same base speed, so it's a possible Speed Tie. So I Dynamax my Rufflet, and we get the fake off, and now this is going to kill him. The critical hit doesn't really matter because Matt's Knuckle is a guaranteed kill on it if it didn't have the Focus Sash. And so we get the attack boost and we kill it. The main reason I want to kill it is because Hyper Beam would do a lot of damage to Rufflet, and I want to make sure it doesn't die. So the max Rock Ball here into my Rufflet, and Rufflet takes quite a bit of damage, but it looks like it did not do enough damage, and that if I charm it, that I can survive a max Rock Ball. And we also see that I won the speed tie, or the most likely speed tie. Not confirmed, but it's likely a speed tie. So here we have a Elekid. I have the Wakan Berry, so I should be able to take any hit from it. So I'm like, okay, should I kill the Elekid or should I kill the Stuffle? I should be able to kill either of them, because if they Thunderbolt bolt into it, I should survive it because of the Wakan Berry. And so I decide that I'm going to kill the Elekid because it's more concerning to me. And I decide to charm the Stuffle so I don't die from that. And so as long as I don't lose a speed try, or they don't double up into me, or if they double up to me and I lose a speed tie, my Rufflet dies. But they actually have Electro, which would have lowered my speed, which would have been really big. But Rufflet dodges it, which is incredibly relevant to me. And I win the speed tie here again, and I'm able to kill the Elekid. The double up would have definitely killed me, and because Electro up lowers the speed, the Stuffle would guarantee outsped me. So that was very lucky miss on my opponent's side. And so they max Rockfall again, and as I expected, I survive it after the charm. And so they're down 2 Pokemon. I still have all 4 of my Pokemon, so now I'm in really good shape. If the Electro Whip would have hit, I think they'd be at the advantage, but currently I think I'm in the advantage. So here I'm decided if I want to max protect guard or not. I know that I likely am going to die from the sand if I do that, so I just decided to charm the Ponyta and go for the Stuffle kill unless the Ponyta doesn't target me. So we charm the Ponyta. The Ponyta is now at -2 attack. And the Play Rough kills the Rufflet. And so now I'm just like, oh, okay, hopefully my all the bulk investment I have in my Purloin is relevant. They max Knuckle me, which is super effective, and it kills the Purloin, which is a little bit annoying, and it also gives them both +1 attack. So now they are both at -1 attack instead of the -2, which they previously were. And so now we got Porygon Inkay. I'm feeling okay. Porygon can definitely kill the Ponyta on a 1v1, but the Stuffle, if it has close combat, has a chance to be able to deal with it. We see I get the download boost for special attack again, which is really nice, which means I got, both my download boosts were optimal. And so here I decide I'm just going to want to kill the Stuffle, so I'm just debating if I should, separate it or one, because I should be able to kill the Stuffle with my Inkay, but I'm unsure on who's faster because Stuffle's at -1, so I should outspeed the Stuffle. But I decide that I'll be safe and double up into it instead of separating my attack, because Stuffle's the only thing that seems to be very actively threatening me currently. So they do the play rough, and this play rough gets a crit. This crit matters. I actually survive this if it doesn't crit, assuming it's max speed. And they get coaching, and they actually outspeed a Porygon. So actually, I know that they are Choice Scarf from this, which is surprising which is not that surprising, but I wasn't particularly expecting it. Luckily, though, the Tri Attack kills it, and so now I feel like I'm in a very good position because their Ponyta is at neutral attack, and I have an EV Light, and I think I win this. I should win this, yeah. So I check. I'm +1 special attack. They're at +1 defense, which is irrelevant, and they're at neutral attack. And so I should be able to win this, and so I just Tri Attack, which is the most accurate. They bounce, which I believe is the correct thing to do. So their idea is that they're hoping to get a paralysis on me, and if I don't hit a couple of times, or if I don't do any or if I get fully paralyzed with a couple of paralysis, they should be able to win this. But if they don't full paralyze me, I definitely should be winning this game. And so the bounce hits me, and it ends up knocking the paralysis, which is, a little bit lucky for me, but not super lucky. I Tri Attack, I get the burn, which basically seals up the game for me. If I didn't get the burn here, there's a chance that they could win with another bounce into a paralysis and me missing a couple attacks, or me not being able to hit a couple attacks in a row. But now the game is pretty much guaranteed over because if they bounce again, the burn is slowly going to kill them. And if they don't bounce, then I can just kill them with any attack. So they bounce again, and they get the full paralysis this time, which is a little bit too late because I got the burn in the previous turn. And now we can see that they're just going to die from burn next turn, so it doesn't really matter what I do. So I just Tri Attack, and I should be able to survive even a crit here, and so the game's pretty much over. So they high horsepower, and I get the kill with the Tri Attack. So with this, I get my 3rd win of our mini draft. And with that, I'm guaranteed to make playoffs. And this was a really great match against the Welsh Whelmers. It was very close, and that second game, I would have probably gone to game 3 if it wasn't for the Electro Web miss. So anyway, everyone, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.